Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tutoring with Abdul. In today's class, we'll be talking about fractions. So, what fractions are and where we use it, and how we do the simple math application in fractions. Or we'll talk various stuff about fractions. So, let's do a simple definition here. Fractions, as we know from the name fraction, it means something that's broken into pieces. And just to have a good example here right now, we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 boxes here, 7 boxes actually here. So we got 7 boxes and 4 of them are full. How do we represent that? That means we are taking 4 boxes out of 7, right? So we write it down as 4 over 7 or like that. So 4 over 7 means 4 are taken from 7. That will be from. And so this is actually we'll define these things right here. So we have A over B. We call this as a fraction bar. The top one will be a numerator. The bottom of the fraction bar will be a denominator. We have a different way of saying it. It's also somehow we use this as a division to A divided by B, or A per B, and A ratio to B. So we can say like this is a ratio to, it's a division, it's a fraction. You can call it different names. So let's see if we can do an example. If Derek Brown has an apple and he decided to give some pieces to his co-workers, so he sliced the apple in 4 pieces, gave 3 pieces to his co-worker and kept the only piece. How can we write this expression mathematically? So he has an apple right there. This is an apple. And since he has a friend, and Derek Brown is my co-worker actually at work, so he has an apple and I was trying to bug him, and me and my 2 other co-workers asked him to divide this apple and give it to us some pieces too. So he donated those 3 pieces to us poor guys because we were hungry. So the whole apple, if it's a full apple, it will be 4 over 4. That is 1. One. So 1 apple. 1 apple. But he gave 3 pieces are taken left, and 1 is left for Derek Brown. For Derek, 1 over 4. This is taken 1, 2, 3. They are taken. So they say no. 3 over 4 is for Derek's friends. That's how you write 3 are taken from 4. And 1 over 4 is for Derek. So it just left 1 over 4 or 1 per 4 is Derek's piece of apple. So that's how we write it down. 4 over 4 is the full or whole apple. And since his friends got 3 pieces of that 4 pieces, and he was only left with 1 over 4 or 1 piece out of 4. Or we can call it like 1/4. Let's keep moving. Abdul has an exam and the total questions given were 22 and he only answered 75%. Or we can say, because since we're talking about fraction, 3/4 of it, how many questions did Abdul actually solve actually? So we can do it this way. 22 questions and he solved only 75%. 75% can be written as 0.75. So we multiply these two, we get this number. I got 16.5 questions correct. Luckily, that's many. Or we can write it down as a fraction thing. 22 times 3 over 4. So we can simplify this. 22 times 2, 4. 1 times 2, 1 times 2 will be 33 over 2, which Okay, so if we keep moving on and we talk about equivalent fractions, the equivalent fractions, as from the name, we can say that they are same or represent the same value. So, for example, will be half, 2 over 4, 3 over 6, 4 over 8, and 5 over 10. They are all equal to 0.5 or half. It's a different way of representing it. So that's how we call it equivalent. Is a visual representation of that will be, if you see it here, we have two pieces. One is taken from 2. That's how we write it. We have 4 pieces, and we have taken 2, 1, 2 out of 4. And we have 6 pieces. We have taken 3 out of 6, 1, 2, 3. And so on, keep going. So these are called equivalent fractions. So now, so here's like, okay, so how we get it actually? How we get equivalent fractions? To get equivalent fractions, for example, if we want to get equivalent fraction for this guy, for this, so we can multiply the numerator and the denominator, or we can divide the numerator and denominator by the same number. By same number should be that means 2 over 2 is equal to 1. So that means it's same number in the denominator. We're not changing anything. We're just giving something a different representation to this number. So we multiply or divide both numerator and denominator by the same number. For example, it's asking here like find 5 equivalent fraction of 12 over 19. Okay, let's 12 over 19. So we say like since 19 is a prime number and we cannot divide it to find the equivalent fraction, but we can always multiply it. Okay, so we cannot divide 19 by anything else, but we can multiply. Let's start from 2. 2 over 2 will give us will be 24 over 38. That's 1. Okay, let's do the second one. Will be, so we are asked to find 5 equivalent fractions. So let's do 3 by 3. 12 over 19 times 3 by 3 is equal to, will be 36. 3 times 12 will be 36. 3 times 19 will be 57. So that is our second equivalent fraction. Now let's do the fourth one here. Fourth one, let's do the same number. Not same number, different number, but will be 4 over 4. 4 times 12 will be 48. 4 times 19 is 76. That's our third fraction, equivalent fraction. Now let's do number 4. Do it 5 by 5. 5 over 5 times 12 over 19. This will give us 6. 5 times 12 is 60. 5 times 19 is 95. And that is our fourth one. Let's do the last one here. 6 over 6 times 12 over 19. So 6 times 12 will be 72. And 6 times 19 will be 114. So that's these are all equivalent. These are equivalent fractions. That means if you divide the numerator by denominator, you should still get 12 over 19 all over the places. We have an example here. How do we know what x is here? 1 over 3 is equal to x over 30. X is just something, x is a missing number. What is it? So the original fraction is 1 over 3 equal to, the second one, the denominator is multiplied by what? 3 times 10. If this is multiplied by 10, So x should be x should be multiplying by 10 too. So that will be 1 times 10. So 1 over 3 is equal to 10 over 30. So that x is actually 10. There is another way we can find it. So we cross multiply these things. 3 times x, 1 times 30. So we got 3x. We will talk about this in algebra. 1 times 30 is 30. We divide both sides by 3. There's a fraction right here. Cancel this fraction, or 133, 133. That's reduced. 1 times 133, 133, and 10 will be x will be equal to 10. Okay, keep moving. Hope you guys are ready for these. Example is asking find the equivalent fraction of the following. We got 3 over 5, and the equivalent are giving 15 over x. How we find it? We have an easy way to do it. We can cross multiplication. This go to this guy, and this go to this multiply. So it'll be 3 times x equal to 5 times 15, which will be 25, 75. 5 times 5 is 25. 5, 2 goes to 1. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 into 7. So now x will be equal to, divide both sides by 3. 3 will cancel out here. 75 divided by 3 is actually 25. X is 25 here. This is a different way. I'll solve it the actual way we are doing here. Let's try this one too. 1 over 15 equal to 15 over x. What is x here? If you want to do this way, so it'll be x times 1. Let's do 1 parentheses. 15 times 15. So 1 multiplied by x is x. 15 squared, we talked about that. That'll be 225. So we talked about this trick earlier in other tutoring. So what we do, 1 times 1 is 1. Then we add this number, it will be 2. Then multiply the last number to 25. Okay, so this is the easiest way to do it. Now let's do it the regular way we've been trying to. So number 1, 3 times 5 is equal to, they're saying 15 times x. 15 over x, sorry. Now let's see. We wrote that this one is, since the original one is 3 over 5, now we got 15. 15 is 3 times 5. If the numerator is multiplied by 5, then denominator is also multiplied by 5. It will be 5 times 5. So it'll be 15 over 25. So that's what we have. So the x here is 25, and that's what we got it right there too. Same exact approach there and there, same thing. Now let's move on to number 2. Number 2 is 1 over 15 is equal to 15 over x. So how we find x here? Now we know the original one is 1 over 15. And the equivalent we got here is that we have 1 times 15, because we got the 15 there. Then on the original one we have 15 already in there, but since the numerator is multiplied by 15, now we got the denominator should be multiplied by 15 too. So that will give me 15 over 225. So that is our x and it should be the same as here. So they're both same approaches. Now do number 3 right here. Says 4 over 9 is equal to 32 over x. Let's do, the original one was 4 over 9. This is the original one. Now it's given 32. What is 32 factors of 4 times 8? 4 times 8 is 32. Now x, since we already have the original one, is 9. Now it's multiplied by 8 also. So it'll give us 32 over 72. This is a new fraction, or the equivalent fraction for 4 over 9. And how about you guys do this number 4 and see how you guys do it. If you have any trouble with it, please let me know. Okay, so let's go to simplifying fractions. How do we simplify? Because going back here, this fraction can be reduced to some form, and that's how we call it simplification. The simplest fraction is the equivalent fraction where numerator and denominator are written without any common factor beside 1. This one has common factor of 2 at least. 32 is divided by 2. We can do it. 72 can be divided by 2 also. So the simplification or simplifying fraction mean the simplest fraction is the equivalent fraction where numerator and denominator are written without any common factor beside 1. So that means there is nothing more that can be divided by any number other than 1. So that's how we can simplify it, and that's how we call it simplifying a fraction. Example, 4 over 16, simplify this fraction. So the process is here. So we write 4 over 16. Then we should know the multiply and the division abilities. So 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 goes into 16 8 times. And 1 goes to 2. 1 times 2 is 2, and 4 times 2 is 8. So 1 over 4 is equivalent to 4 over 16. So that's how we simplify. We reduce the form from the top, numerator and the denominator. We see if it is not a prime number. Now let's simplify 13 over 39. 13 over 39. We see this is prime number, 39 is a prime number, and 13 is a prime number. 39 is not actually a prime number, 13 is a prime number. We cannot divide this by anything else other than 13. So we can do 1 times 13 is 13. 3 times 13 will be 39. So 1 over 3 is equal to 13 over 39. Same thing. So that's the equivalent fraction. And that's how we reduce it. Now, says find the reduced fraction of 50 over 150. 150. So 50 over 150. So if we have these kind of questions, look at some common zeros in the numerator and denominator. If we have them, then just cancel them out just to make it easier. Now we left with 5 over 15. We know 5 divided by 5 is 1. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So we can, because the common factor here is 5, so we can write it down as 1 over 3. Yes. So that's the equivalent fraction there. Okay, we can move on to fractions types. We have proper fractions and improper fractions and mixed fractions too, and mixed number we can say. The proper fractions are fractions whose numerators are smaller number than denominator. For example, 1 over 2, 4 over 9, 12 over 13, 15 over 16, and etc. Where the numerator is less or smaller than the denominator. That is a proper fractions. Now, improper fractions are the fraction that the numerator is bigger than the denominator. Like this, 3 over 2, 4 over 3, 50 over 48, and so on. So, we talk proper and improper. There should be a middle way to talk about it. That will be calling a mixed fraction, or we call it a whole number in a proper fractions. We'll come to that in a minute. We can produce something in between. Yeah, we can do that. We can convert improper fraction in mixed number, dividing the numerator by denominator, writing a whole number, and then remainder as a proper fraction. How we do that? Let's try it here. 600 over 189, it's improper fraction. We can write this one down as a mixed fraction. Mixed means we should have a whole part and a proper fraction part. So if we divide 600 by 189, we can get 3. The quotient will be 3. 3 times 189 is 567, and we have 33 remainder. So how we did it here? We got a 3 in quotient, which is 3 whole number, and then we got remainder 33, and we can say 189 over 189 is equal to 600 divided by 189. Same thing. That's a whole number and that's a proper fraction. That's why we call it mixed fraction. Okay, so I explain here step by step. That's how you solve it. The step 2 is write quotient as a whole number, like I did here. Here is a whole number and a whole number and numerator over divisor, remainder over divisor. This is our remainder from here, and divisor is 189. So that's a mixed fraction. Example is given here. 550 divided by 210. Write it as a mixed fraction. So let's do the division here. 210. 550 goes into 210 2 times. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. We do subtraction here. 0 minus 0 is 0. 5 minus 2 is 3. 5 minus 4 is 1. This is our remainder. Now, to write it as a mixed fraction, we write the quotient as a whole number, then a fraction bar. Whatever remainder is 130 over 210. So whole number and proper fraction. Proper fractions are the fractions whose value of the numerator is smaller than the denominator. So we can say 550 over 210 is equal to 130 over 210. They're same thing. Let's shift the gear to the next example. It says 445 over 400. Write it as a proper fraction and express it as a mixed fraction as well. Okay, so as a proper fraction and express it as a mixed fraction as well. Okay, so what does that actually mean here? We can write it down. We can just divide that 445 by 400. 445 goes into 400 once. 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 4 is 4. If we minus them, it will be 45 left, right? So we can say 1 is in quotient, and we can write the remainder over a divisor. So that will be our mixed fraction. And it's been asked to write as a proper fraction too. We have a proper fraction here, but it's not a whole because we have a mixed number here. But we can do it this way. Whatever is there, we can do that 1 plus 45 over 400. Now this is a proper fraction here, plus 1. If you add this one, it should still give you the same exact value here. So this is a proper fraction, and this is a mixed fraction. Proper fraction, I mean same, you can write it down in these two different ways. 1 times 400 will be 445 over 400. You do the same thing here. So 400 will be a common denominator, divided by any number doesn't have a denominator. Denominator is 1. 400 divided by 1 is 400, times 1 will be 400. Now the sign of addition, 400 divided by 400 is 1. 1 times 45 will be 45. So we'll be giving 445 over 400. So they are the same, so we can write it in a different way. Okay, so let's go, and the solution is 145 over 400, and the second one is 1 plus 45 over 400. Okay, next example. I will leave this to you guys. Solve it and ask me if you have any question. Follow the same exact pattern there. Divide the numerator by denominator, and then find a way to write it as a mixed fraction in a proper fractions too. Okay. Talking about converting a mixed fraction to improper fraction. Okay, we have quite a few steps here. Multiply a whole number by denominator. Then add the product from step 1 to the numerator. Then step 3 is write the addition from step 2 and write it as a new numerator over same denominator. So step 4 is just the new fraction, which is an improper fraction. We have an example here. 4 is a whole number, 3 over 8. Convert this to improper fraction. How we do it? We multiply 4 times 8, 32. Whole number by denominator, 32. And then add that 32 to the numerator, which will be 35. And step 3 is we write 35 over 8. And it's giving me an improper fraction because the numerator is bigger than denominator. That's how we convert it. We multiply whole number by the denominator, then add that denominator to the numerator, then write it as a same over the same denominator, like here we did, like this whole number. There's an example here. It says write down 4 as a whole number, 1 over 4 as a fraction, as an improper fraction. So what we do, the first step is, as we said, multiply this whole number by the denominator. 4 times 4 is 16. The second step is add 16 to the numerator, which will give us 17. Then write 17 over that number as a new numerator over the same old denominator, which will be the step. It will also represent step 4, which will be 17 over 4, which is our new improper fraction. Improper fraction. Okay, move on. We have quite a few examples here. Write these mixed fraction as improper fractions. Okay, we got almost 6 of them. I'll solve 1, 2, and 3. I'll solve A, B, and F. I'll leave the rest to you guys. Let's do solve number 1. 9. So step 1 is 9 times 91. 9 times 91 is whatever that number is. 9 times 91 is 819. That is step 1. Multiply the whole number by denominator. Then 819 added to the numerator, which is 11. It will give us 819 plus 11 will give us 830. Now step 3 is 830, which is the new numerator. Write it down as a new numerator and write it back as an old denominator. So 830 over 91 is our improper fraction. Improper fraction. We said we would probably do number B2. Let's do B. B is 8 times 8 whole number multiplied by the denominator, which is 64. Now 64 add to the numerator, which is 1, will be 65. And now 65, write it down as a old denominator, will give us 65 over 8, which is improper fraction. Let's do solve number F. 2 as a whole number 2 over 3. So we multiply 2 times 3 as a 2 times the denominator will give us 6. Step 2 is to add 6 to the numerator, which will be 8, which will become 8 because the numerator is 2. And then write that as a new numerator over same denominator, so it becomes 8 over 6. Or we can write it down, or we can reduce this. It would be 4 over 3. 4 over 3 equal to 8 over 6. They're same exact number, no worries there.